Good morning and welcome to today's live Making It Together educational event. Today is Monday. It's day 11 of doing these events, broadcasting to you throughout the month of March on weekdays. We have one more of these on schedule, and then we will be shifting to a Tuesday, Thursday schedule for this live event, but rest assured we will still be coming to you live. And Jenna had started her sessions this morning, which is Making It Together at home, which are going to be Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and that'll start off at 9 a.m. So we'll still be coming to you. I'll be bringing some new content to you. We have plenty of educational sessions planned throughout the month of April as well. But I want to thank you, everybody that's been joining us and shouting out where you're watching from this morning. I love to see those comments, see those questions, and we have a lot of the same folks that continue to join us each episode, which is great. That means you're learning a lot, you're working on your business, and you're able to get the questions that you have answered. As always with these events, we're doing some giveaways. And so we did a big giveaway Friday. What I'll be doing is collecting all the surveys from this week. And then our giveaways will shift to Thursdays, which will be my last educational session of each week, where we will do giveaways. We'll do one live on air and the rest we'll do afterwards. But we'll make sure that the products that we're giving away rotate, and everybody that has completed our survey, which we'll share the link in the comment stream wherever you're watching from, will be eligible for each of those giveaways. So good to see you, Ray from New Jersey, Gail from Illinois, Jonathan from Georgia, Michelle from Iowa, and all types of folks chiming in and joining. Michelle from Texas. We have 3 different folks handling the comment feeds from the different locations. So whether you're watching on our Stahls All Things Heat Printing Facebook page, our Heat Press for Profit Facebook group, or on YouTube, we're streaming live simultaneously in all 3 places and interacting with everybody. Robert, good to see you from Wisconsin here this morning, and Karen from Tampa, Dimitri from Minneapolis, and Carolina Screen Printing joining from South Carolina, Jackie from Duncanville, Texas. So we have a great crew. So let me walk you through something. Well, first, let me set up what we're going to do today. I have 2, maybe 3 projects we're going to get to, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the projects today. That's going to be most of the session. One of those, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with printing at events, because events will eventually open back up. And as we were thinking about our business strategy and the way we're going to go forward, if events will be a part of your business, I want to talk about some best practices and ideas and share with you some projects and some actual samples I had left over from events that I've pulled out to talk a little bit about that. So we'll be doing that project, and throughout the process also teaching you a little bit about heat applying rhinestones and also heat applying foil or perhaps glitter. The other project that I'm going to talk about is decorating a safety vest, and some things to consider there. We will be customizing it with our high-vis reflective material. And then we'll also be talking a little bit about what to look for in a vinyl cutter and why I chose to invest in the GraphTech vinyl cutter that we'll be using today, sharing with you how to access some specials on that cutter. And I saw some questions over the weekend on what's the difference, why the GraphTech, why is that better than another machine, how would you compare it? And so I've created just a really simple 4 or 5 slide PowerPoint where I want to show you some of the differences and show you on the actual cutter. So great to see everybody this morning. Glad that some of you that haven't been able to watch live, that have been watching the recordings, are able to watch live. Welcome, Shafi from Bangladesh. That's exciting, watching on YouTube. And Carolyn, it's your birthday. And so let me show that comment here. So Carolyn's birthday. I'm not a very good singer. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. We're all celebrating birthdays just a little bit different now. So it was actually my mom's birthday. When was it? Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So I did a project for her, made something at home because I couldn't go out and shop, and I'm not a big plan ahead guy, so I didn't get a chance to order something online. My wife, of course, had something already selected, so we made sure she had that bracelet that my wife had picked out with her Nana engraved in her. That's what my daughter calls her. And so I decided to do a singing telegram. I'm not a singer, so it was really obnoxious. It was on the front porch, knocked on her door, and then basically sang as loud as I could happy birthday to her through the window. took the steps back when she opened the door, and then we carried on a conversation from about 10 or 12 feet for about a half hour. So that was fun. Some kids in the neighboring yard started joining along with me and just laughing and having a great time. So don't take yourself too seriously during this time. Find new ways to celebrate and do things. My daughter's all worried about her birthday at the end of the month, whether she's going to be able to have a party. I'm sure we will figure out some way to celebrate. So Carolyn, happy birthday. Excited to have you on today on your birthday. And I think I saw someone, lost in the comment feed here, watching on YouTube, Emma from Nigeria. So great to have you as well. So quite the global audience today. Let me show you something that we're doing over at Transfer Express, which I thought was just the coolest idea. And that is a coloring contest. So a lot of us are home with our kids right now and looking to entertain the kids. My daughter started cyber school today, so she's in another room doing that right now to maintain her education as we work through this until she can return back. But our Transfer Express division came up with this really cool concept, and it says T-shirts make people happy. And it's a coloring sheet. This was a page that was completed by John, or I'm assuming John's kids, based on his profile picture there. And we can see it'll walk through how to win transfers that can get made with your actual print that's on a shirt. So something cool for the kids. Teach them about the business. Teach them how to make a T-shirt. They can color this page, come up with their own cool T-shirt concept on it. The winning design will get free transfer prints, and then you can teach your child or whoever that you're working with how to heat apply them. So let me walk through a little bit more on how to enter this. So this is a post from Transfer Express Facebook page. And so basically enter to win screen printed transfers with your design on them. There is a link that we're going to share in the feed. This is going to be the place where you can download the coloring page, or if you happen to place an order from Transfer Express, these coloring sheets will be in the box. You'll have an actual printed copy, but you can certainly visit the link that we're sharing in the comment stream, or you can find on Transfer Express's Facebook page. Download that page, and it'll walk you through from there to tag us on whatever social media platform you're using. Enter by as many times as you'd like by April 23rd, and on April 24th, we will choose a design. So something fun to do. Now, another thing that we're doing is we still do our show and tell on Saturdays, and that happens on our Stahls All Things Heat Printing Facebook page. And I saw a design on our show and tell from this Saturday that I thought was really cool, so I wanted to show it to you. And that is a photograph print completed in stretch litho mat. And so I've been talking a lot about the digital screen printed transfers, how I think it's a smarter way to do business, to group designs when we come out of this. And this design just really grabbed my attention because it really shows not only can you just do multiple color and spot colors, but you can do a photo quality print. We are using digital printing to create these transfers. So you can get a high resolution photo quality print, as we see in the example here, shared by Natalie, and apply that to the garment. And I think that's just an awesome way to leverage a product and like this and a project like this. So with that in mind, those were some of the things that I saw around the web over the weekend. We've also been uploading our Stahls TV Blueprint Shop Visit series to Facebook. So if you get a chance to see one of those over the past 2 evenings, thanks for watching the premiere with us. But make sure you go and look those up. Those are great 60-minute videos that cover, the first 2 were an opportunity for myself and my brother Zach to visit a decorator in north central Pennsylvania called Moose's Enterprises. And we got to work with them on their business. It's just really awesome to be able to put yourself in the shoes of another apparel decorator and understand what they're doing well, their challenges, etc. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to move to our topic at hand, and that is working with some projects. So to start, I have some samples here that I want to show you. Typically, we were doing a event in my side hustle called that was just a dance recital week for my daughter's dance school. And so one of the considerations when we were going to print at this event, which happened to be every night for 5 nights in a row, which included practices as well as the actual event, is planning. How many shirts do we need? How many designs do we need? What designs do we need? Are we going to take a heat press? Are we going to take a vinyl cutter? Can we handle the traffic? How are we going to collect money? All of the things that go through your mind when you want to set up and print on location somewhere. I think there's a lot of power in printing on location somewhere because it creates more of an experience. And a lot of folks are trying to drive experience, certainly into their events. And it's a great opportunity for us to further cement our relationships as apparel decorators, because your customers will love you if not only you can print their normal apparel, but you can show up at their events, whether that's a tournament, a ball game, a dance recital, host their team in your retail store if you have one of those, whatever it is, just to create an experience where the heat press is working. And so if you followed any of the feeds from events like the Super Bowl, NBA All-Star Game, any big-time event, even the Olympics, historically, you'll see a lot of what we call live printing happening because it garners attention, and it's exciting for people to be able to commemorate and buy a shirt at the event. So this is our approach to it. So number one is we started the first year, we pre-printed everything, which was a huge mistake, and I should have known better. We tried to guess the sizes, and I completely overestimated how much we would sell at the event, and I ended up with a whole bunch of leftover inventory. I still think I have bins full of printed inventory that we've been clearancing at subsequent events. So we quickly switched to taking a heat press with us. Now, I took a very small format heat press, like an 11 by 15 inch, to the event because it was easy for me to fit on a tabletop and carry. You can certainly take a 16 by 20 like I have behind me. The caddy stand with the wheels is a great way to be able to take that to event, but a heat press is an important part. Now, I've worked events in the past where we've had a vinyl cutter, where we've cut like player names and numbers at NBA All-Star games to do that sort of thing, to do a jersey. But at this particular event, I felt like the designs for the dancers, I wanted to have some complexity to them, and I didn't want to sit there and cut everything on demand because it was going to take a lot of time, a lot of weeding on site, and it was going to be labor intensive. So by the second year, what I did is I decided to order pre-done designs. So what we did is we did about 3 designs. Here's an example of one of them that I still had a print left over from. So we did a glitter-based design. This one says "My Heart Beats" in 8 counts, and it has a name drop for the dance school. Again, you'll hear me say that when you create general designs like this, if you can keep the name of your school or whatever it is at the bottom, it allows it to be trimmed off. And if I don't sell out of these, now if I line up another event, I can take this general design and I can just order the bottom name drop and put in the name of another dance school, another tournament, the year, whatever it is. And so we stock some of these in 2 or 3 basic glitter colors that would go across the blank apparel inventory that we wanted to offer. Now, the challenge with this is, of course, everybody wants selection. And so we didn't want to pre-inventory a ton of selection in pre-cut design. So foil really solved a problem for us. So if you watch these episodes, you know there are about 3 different ways you can do foil. One way is by just cutting a roll of metallic material on your vinyl cutter and having a design that has the foil color already in it just for application. Another way is by ordering a screen printed transfer or cutting your own CAD-CUT adhesive transfer. So if you can see this through the screen, this is a clear adhesive-based product. Same design, My Heart Beats in 8 counts. Try to hold it up against my shirt so you can see it. And you can see the same sort of content. Now, the advantage of this for doing on-site events is because, again, I'm taking it at another level. I just have a clear base design, and then I can add color as a second step. So instead of having to stock this in silver and rainbow and pink and blue, I can stock one adhesive design for the event, and then I can simply merchandise my rolls of heat transfer foil. And in this case, this is more of your screen printing type foil, where you can just take the small roll. There's about 10 cents or so per linear foot of this, so it's very inexpensive. And I can just trim this once the dancer, in this case, or the parent selects the design. Then they can look at the table and they can select the whatever foil color they want. And the rolls of foil or the sheets of foil are fairly inexpensive. So we laid about 12 different colors of foil out on the table. and then we knew that we would be able to just customize and have the rolls left over for other jobs. So it was a very lean and inexpensive way to be able to set up and do something. I kept my design in a way that it can be used for other events in the future. I tried to take most of my selection into just the clear-based adhesive product. CAD-CUT adhesive is what we call it, and then spread different rolls of foil across the table, which made for a great visual of color, and everybody kind of likes seeing the process of the two-step, and it just became more of an experience there. Now, you've heard me preach good, better, best, and so we did that. You can do that on a blank garment. We certainly had a basic tee, a more fashion-forward garment, and then a fleece. We also did leggings and sports bras at the event as well, which went really popular. But we also did good, better, best on the graphics. So we had the foil, the glitter, and then we also had a rhinestone transfer. And so these we actually ordered pre-made and then just heat applied them on the site. We did less inventory in this, and we charged a premium. We certainly aren't going to brush rhinestones or take the CAMS machine. I don't even own one, but take the CAMS machine and create your rhinestone transfers on the spot. So we decided that we would pre-order those from Transfer Express, just have them ready to heat apply. So I wanted to kind of frame that for you, and that went a lot better. That meant once the event ended, I could use my inventory somewhere else. It wasn't completely sunk, or I could just go ahead and launch an online sale after the event to be able to sell out the rest of the particular transfers that we had. So with that in mind, I want to go over to the heat press and show you how to heat apply these foil products. So again, I'm working with the 16 by 20 heat press. This is the Hotronix Auto Clam. The concept would be that a customer would come up, we would have the blanks merchandised with some of the designs across the top of the display. This particular blank is a Sport Tech garment. This is a newer style that I brought home for some of these projects. So these weren't the actual blanks we were selling. At the event, I did a lot of garments from Cavio because they have a lot of dancer-driven stuff, as well as Sophie, which is another blank wholesaler. But for this example, I'm just going to load this shirt. Again, I'm going to be heat printing fleece. So the cool thing about the adhesive product and the foil is that you can apply it to a wide variety of fabrics, whether it's cotton, 100% cotton, a blend, 100% polyester. It does really well. So I'm going to start with a preheat, and I've been swapping platens on this press all weekend, so I'll make sure I get a good pressure here. And for the first step of the foil process with the adhesive, you want a very light pressure. So let me grab my design here. I'm going to use the same one. My heart beats in 8 counts. This comes in a roll. You just cut it on your vinyl cutter and weed it. So you can pre-cut all this, or you can order it cut from Stahls. And then I'm just going to position that into place. Now, this product, got a little extra piece of adhesive on here I need to clean up. It usually comes to light when you lay it over a dark surface like the t-shirt. I'm going to position that into place. For the first step, you want a very light pressure. And the reason why is if you do too heavy of a pressure on just the adhesive will actually blow through the fibers of the garment and will create pinholing or inconsistency in your result. So typically like a 1 on the pressure is going to be really good for this. Now I am going to have to cheat real quick and look at my application instructions. So let me go over to that screen and I'll show you how to look at those. Had my rhinestones up earlier, but if you go to the Stahls webpage, there are application instructions for every product. So this is our adhesive and heat transfer foil. So it walks me through how to cut it, as you're seeing up here in the top right. Weed away the excess to get the result. Cut a piece of foil, and then I'm going to preheat, which we've done, and then it's saying heat apply. So right here on the screen, if you're seeing that where I'm highlighting, 300 degrees, 3 to 5 seconds with a light pressure on the Hotronix for my adhesive layer. After that, I'm going to peel it hot, and I'm going to cover it with foil and press it for 8 to 10 seconds with a firm pressure. So 3 to 5 at light, 8 to 10 at firm, all at 300. So let me make sure I have 5 seconds set here. And then we'll go ahead and lock that down. I'm at a 2 pressure on my machine. It's a hot peel, so I like to give it just a couple seconds for the foil to set up since it's not much pressure there. And then I'm going to just peel the carrier from it. Corner to corner, it's always good to peel at a 90-degree angle. This carrier sheet is now garbage. And then I'm going to pick the foil color that I want. So everybody always likes the rainbow, so I'm going to go with that to show you that effect. It's really cool. And then consider, one thing we let the kids do is say, hey, you want horizontal stripes, you want vertical stripes, you want diagonal stripes. Either way we can do it. All I'm going to do is peel away this piece of foil, make sure my design is large enough, and then I'm going to position it into place. In this case, you want to make sure you don't slide it after it's laid on there because that adhesive is hot. I'm going to go with diagonal stripes to see how that looks. So I'm just going to lay it on with the rainbow striping in a diagonal pattern, and then it's going to be a firm pressure. So this is one of the tricky things because once it's on there, you're going to adjust the pressure. So what I always tell everybody is if you're operating with the Stahls machine, it's about a quarter a turn for pressure. So I'm going to go, let's see, I was on a 2. That's going to be a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you get the feel for that. Now, it's always best to use a cover sheet because the reason why is you technically don't need one, but the foil is a cold peel. So if you have something on your heater and it starts to lift your foil by accident, it's going to start to peel on the edge and it's not going to give you a clean edge to your design. So use the cover sheet. It's not going to hurt anything. I got to make sure I'm up at the 10 seconds. And then I'm going to heat apply. So I guess pretty good. I'm at a 7 and it's toggling between a 7 and an 8. I always say just that quarter turn is about one number on the pressure. Once your garment is completed, it is a cold peel. So this is one of the best parts. So when you're printing on site at an event, it's an experience. So make it a little bit of a show, right? And let people engage. So I would encourage kids to stay there. And once that design was cooled down, I would hold the shirt out and say, you go ahead and peel it. And what I'm doing is creating a billboard, a display for everybody around to see. I'm holding that shirt up and that kid peels it down. And their reaction was priceless every time. And so it just made it a little bit more fun for the experience. So I'm going to throw this one to the side and then we're going to grab another shirt and I'll show you another technique with the foil. So this is another garment. This particular one is from Sophie. It's another sort of crop top fleece looking garment, a nice cut for something fashionable. I'm going to split that on. And again, I'm going to preheat this garment and I'll show you another technique with the foil. Again, I'm going to 5, 6, 7. I'm going to bring that pressure down. I'm back to a 2 now with those quarter turns. Preheat it. And this time I'm going to grab my Love Dance design that's been created. These have all been created through CAD-CUT templates. They could easily be created on CADWorks Live. The thing I liked about this design, we made it so it could go in a horizontal or vertical format on different garments so everybody could create something unique. In this case, I'm going to do just your traditional horizontal format. Again, I'm going to press that for just 5 seconds. Let it cool for just a sec, and then peel away the backing. I'll hold this one up for you so you guys can get a look. And again, this adhesive is not on there for good. That's why you need the second step in the process. But you'll see that, we just have the adhesive on the shirt ready to receive the foil. It's a little bit tacky to the hand. You can't sell the shirt just like this because I've had that question before. If that runs through the dryer, it's going to stick to itself and have an issue. So what I recommend doing is if you want that tone-on-tone look, we have other products that'll do that. They're called Super Tech Clear on the website, and I'll show you how to get to them here in a second. Now, something else cool about foil is I showed the crumble up method where you can create distress looks the other day. In this particular way, I'm going to show you a way that you can create your own kind of unique design and stripe it. And in this case, I'm going to, cut a strip of this product. I'll lay it across here. Cut a strip of this color. Lay it randomly across the other direction. Let's cut a strip of this color. Lay it across, and it looks like I need one more color, so let's go ahead and finish the top again with the same color I put on bottom. So you can take your scraps once you peel the foil layer and reuse your scraps. It's a great way to be able to do it. Here I'm just laying an assortment of scraps onto the press and finding my cover sheet, and then I'm going to just cover it. And again, now with the firm pressure, I'm going to heat apply it for the 10 seconds and then let it cool down to peel it. So that's one of the coolest things about the adhesive and foil. One is it helps to really reduce your inventory carrying costs. Even if you're not at an event, just carrying the clear product on shelf is going to save you a ton of money versus stocking a bunch of different colors of vinyl and foil. Yes, you do have a little bit more time at the heat press, but you can create all sorts of different looks with the products. You can kind of see how I laid those strips across all in random sort of ways. We're going to let this cool down, and then we'll reveal the result. So at this point, my other hoodie should be cooled down, and do my best to support this while I'm peeling it. And you can see how it works. So again, the kids were just going crazy when they would peel that, and they actually wanted to keep this piece to frame it and do like a craft, which is no problem for me to allow them to keep that piece to experiment with. But the finished result is just awesome. It's a high-end look, really cool rainbow-like result. Sometimes you'll see little bits of foil flaking on the edge. That's just the piece that it didn't get to the adhesive, so you can just brush that off, and it's good to go. Now, the cool thing about foil, you're seeing the effect that we're getting here. Hopefully it's coming across pretty clear there. You can always drive that more down into the garment if you want. And so I'll show you that. I kind of like it with this effect, but I want to show you the difference. So I'm just going to try to load this and maybe hang half of it off of the press so you can see this result. And if you wanted to embed a little bit more in a garment, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to heat apply it for about 3 to 5 more seconds. Those extra 3 to 5 seconds, see if it can show up here, will completely drive it into the garment. So this side is a lot more embedded into the garment. That's the side we press twice. You can see the fabric fibers coming through versus this side, which is a lot more shiny and glossy and not embedded into the garment. So you can do a lot of things with foil. Durability on those is going to be the exact same. We do recommend foil. We have a lot of people that wash and dry it, no problem. If you wanted to maintain that bright foil finish, I would recommend a hang dry application. That's going to keep it shiny and bright as long as possible. So consider that when you're doing your care tags. And then also consider saving these pieces. If you don't give it to the customer, being able to trim off these corners and angles, and that's going to be a piece that you can reuse when we complete a look like we're trying to create here. Now I'm going to have to lay this down to peel it, but I will tilt so you guys can get a look at it. It's pretty cool. And then when we peel it, you can see the foil is just sticking to certain pieces. So that's one layer. There's another layer. So you can see the completed result. Just really neat how you can mix and match and make something completely unique. So if you're dealing with an audience at an event that's older, even laying out the foil and letting them trim to a point and kind of come up with the strips of color that they want to use in their design, I think those are things that drive audience and attention. And when people see a lot of people gathered around a table, they want to come and see what's happening. And so foil is one of those great products to be able to draw attention and to be able to draw an audience to your particular booth or display. Now, I need to look at some of the questions because we're getting a lot of them here. Welcome everybody who's watching our Making It Together live. We're getting ready to do another completely different project than this, but I want to make sure I put a bow on this one and answer any questions. So let's see. All right, super cool. You guys are liking the result. Yeah, I think that's really neat. Yeah, so using a cover sheet is important for the second step. And cold peeling on the foil is definitely important. And Sarah must have had another question further upstream, so I'll keep looking there. Can you tell what it's called to order the bottom adhesive? I can't find it in the Transfer Express on the screen printing area. So yeah, just to kind of backpedal on how to get the bottom adhesive layer. There are two ways. Let me grab a roll off my shelf so I can explain this. Coming right back to you in a second. So one way, actually there's three ways, so let me correct that. There's three ways to get the bottom layer. One way is you just buy the roll of what we call CAD-CUT adhesive. So if you have a vinyl cutter, this is a roll of clear sort of frosted adhesive that you can cut and weed the way you would any other heat transfer vinyl, and then that creates your bottom transfer layer. So that's one way. You can buy this from Stahls.com, and I'll show you where to buy it from real quick. And we can link to it for sure, but if we go over to, let me go to Stahls.com. When you're on Stahls.com, you're going to go into the CAD-CUT Direct section, which is our heat transfer vinyl section. Go to heat transfer vinyl, and you'll just buy adhesive, is what it's called, or search for adhesive in the search menu. So this adhesive product, you'll see a visual of it on the cutter. It comes in only one color, which is clear, and you can either buy it in a 12-inch wide or 20-inch wide roll. So those are your options, and then we have the 5 to 50 yard pricing on both of those rolls. So that's one way. Another way is if you don't want to cut and weed it, but you want this product exactly, you can go to what's called CAD-CUT templates. And if I open up CAD-CUT templates, now this is the Stahls designer where I can actually create product. Once you log in, it'll have all of your saved designs, but it will bring up templates. And so if I do, let's just say I wanted this Riverside Bulldogs, I can create my design, I can customize it to say what I want, swap my clip art, and then over on your material selection, you're just going to go to adhesive, and that will allow you to add it to the cart and check out. So that's called CAD-CUT templates. That means we cut this roll of adhesive for you and weed it and provide it to you ready to apply. That's the exact way that I ordered it for my event because it was before Transfer Express had their offering out, and I had experience with this CAD-CUT adhesive, and that's the exact product I wanted. So the way to order it from Transfer Express, this is one way, is if you have a quantity of garments that is, I would say once you get 24 or more for sure of the same design, then it's going to make more sense to move to a screen printed transfer. And so on Transfer Express's website, they have a new transfer type. If you go under transfers, let me see if I can find it, go to heat applied transfers, and then it is an actual screen printed adhesive. So I'm going to go into screen printing, and then I'll go down, and I can see the heat transfer foil right here. So this is going to be the location where I can get into the different rolls of foil, and then I believe also in the screen printed foil transfer. So I may have to get some clarification on that. I certainly know that we've launched it, but I'm not seeing it there. So let me get back to you on that. That might be what you're having trouble with, is finding the screen printed transfer version of the foil. So I apologize for that. We'll make sure we get that to you soon. All right, let me look to see if there's a couple additional questions before we move to our next project. And I know our team is working hard to answer questions as well. We've already answered the question about washing and drying instructions. This will be recorded, so it'll be published, the full version, after we conclude here. Yep, and then thanks for everybody chiming in and helping to answer each other's questions. Yeah, so the answer is, Ethan asked, do I need a special product for the foil to adhere? This adhesive is going to give you your best result. You can practice and use like foil on thermofilm and other heat transfer vinyls, but you're going to miss the consistency because those products are different in how they take the foil or don't take the foil. One cool thing that I experienced by accident is when you use our fashion film product and you press it with foil, it doesn't stick to the print at all, but it leaves a little clear outline from where there's just a little bit of adhesive squeezing out. And so the foil sticks to that. So you actually get like a little bit of a highlight in foil. And so how I came to that conclusion is we were mixing fashion film with this adhesive and foil to get some cool mixed media results. All right, so I think we got most of the questions answered. If not, I'll keep making sure we look at it. The other last question I want to cover is two. Visual foil colors. Yes, if you go to the website, you'll see the color swatches on the foil colors. And Terrence asks, is the foil the only material you can use on the adhesive material, or are there other colors available? Right now, foil is the primary. I think there may be some stuff in the screen printing side of the market to do flock this way. But right now, from Stahls and Transfer Express, it's just the foil-based product. All right. So next project. Hopefully that inspires you and gives you some ideas for printing at events. Clean my space here. Everything just kind of goes on the floor and then I clean it up later. Next project I want to talk about, which is going to be a little bit more of a start to finish. There is this Cornerstone reflective vest, and it's almost blinding the camera because I have a light on this side of me to make sure we're well lit here. But this has your 3M reflective stripes. And so if you look right now and talk about some of the markets that are buying, this product can be relevant, and high-vis apparel can be relevant to some of the markets that are still life-sustaining and essential in buying. And as I mentioned in an earlier broadcast, you can look at any governor's announcement and probably download a list of the life-sustaining businesses or the essential business categories, and you can use that as a prospect list to go out and present projects like what I'm about to show you. So this is going to be a project from start to finish. The first thing I want to point out is I'm going to use a non-ANSI certified product on this vest. And the reason why I'm okay to do that is because the vest, as it sits with its retro reflective capabilities built in, is already reflective enough to be used and meet the certification for roadside work crews and anybody else that may need a certified product that's working in these low light conditions. And so in this particular case, I'm going to design from scratch and use our high-vis reflect, which is more of a fashion reflect product. So I'm going to move over and I'm going to pull up our CADWorks Live online designer. And if you haven't seen this before, this is a free online design software. You just go to CADWorks, WORX live.com, and you can sign up and get free access to create vector art for vinyl cutting and a variety of other production processes. So I'm not a designer. I don't use Corel or Illustrator, but I have learned to use CADWorks, and one of my favorite things are some of the pre-done templates. So I'm going to go into the templates, and there's a ton of templates that are grouped by category here on the left-hand side that you can navigate through. I'm going to try to create a design for a trucking or a towing company, and so I'm going to go into the business category. Now, keep in mind, there are clip arts. You can swap clip art even if it's an unrelated category into your design, but there I'm going to go with this one that's already themed as sort of a truck repair or has the badge or the shield that I want for the look that I'm creating. So select the layout you want or build it from scratch, and then you're going to open it. Now that will open on my design screen, and you can see if I go into my wireframe view, it is already vector art. That's what your vinyl cutter sees, and it's ready to cut. Now, I want to customize this for my particular client, so I'm going to select this text. I'm just going to double click on it on my keyboard, and I'm going to change the text to whatever it is I want it to be. So I'm from Uniontown, so let's do a Uniontown themed t-shirt. I'm going to stick with the font, but you can certainly change the font. We're designing in white here since it's going to be cut through the garment. So that's why you're seeing that text color, or actually not seeing much of the text color. I'm going to click OK, and it'll drop it within my design. At that point, I can move it around. I can, change the sizing, do anything I want to the design. Now, the next thing I want to change, instead of truck repair, I'm going to change it to towing company. And so I'll change truck to towing. It will render it and create a visual for me. Then I click OK. It'll drop it into my screen. And again, I can grab the corner handles, size it down. I think I'd prefer this in all caps. Let me do that real quick. I think that looks better. So towing, and then I'm going to change repair to company. So again, I'm working in CAD-Works Live, free online design software. I'm operating from an existing template and just creating my design, sizing it, and getting to what I want. I am going to do this all in a single color. So I'll change that to the blue shade or something in the same family. And then I'm actually going to cut this out of black reflective material to apply to my jacket, and then show you some techniques to applying to the vest. Actually is what we'll be applying. So once you have the whole design, I'm going to draw a box around it, and then I can size it. In this particular case, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Let's go with like 9 and see what the height size is to proportionally. So 9 by 9. I just want a little bit of brand visibility on the back of this particular vest. And if you want to do a left chest design or something on the vest, this would be a perfect time to, operate from the same design. The style of this vest doesn't really lend itself to a left chest decoration, as you'll see here in a second. So I'm going to stick with this. Once I've created the design, I can export it to whatever file format it allows me to bring to your own cut driver or your own design program to take it through your normal workflow for getting to your vinyl cutter. So you can see all the file formats right here. But in this case, I've already downloaded the free vector cut software that I can send this to. And basically that means that it will come off of the cloud. It's going to download to my local device here. You can see it popped in the bottom corner of the screen, and I'm going to open that design. That will launch vector cut for me. Slide it over into our view, and we can see we have the design set up to cut on our heat transfer vinyl. It shows white with this dotted color, so that's the color it's showing there. And then it actually separates the design by color. So if it was a multicolor design, you could select just the color that you want to cut, load that roll of vinyl, and cut it accordingly. But in this case, I'm going to be doing it all out of one color. So I'm going to mirror that design, and then it's ready to send over to my vinyl cutter. But before I do that, let's head over to our vinyl cutter and let's get it set up. Okay, so we have the vinyl cutter. I have, and this was my actual material I used for a job that I showed you guys the other day. This is the high-vis reflective material. It's 24 inches wide. This is the 3M reflective heat transfer vinyl, just coated with a special coating for the color. And so we carry this in about 7 to 9 different colors. This is a black, which is actually more like a charcoal. I'm choosing that because I think it will stand off even in the daylight hours. So I love black for this high-vis reflective apparel, especially in the neon oranges and the safety greens, because then you really get good visibility, not only at night if it's reflective, but during the day. So black is a great color choice. So I'm going to load my material into the cutter. Excuse me for 1 second. My cable got caught here. It's restricting my access. I'm just operating from a piece of material. This is our high-vis color reflect. I'm going to load it into the cutter, and then I'm going to adjust the pinch rollers to where I want it to lock down on the material. And then I will lock down the cutter and tell it to go ahead and find the material, measure the width of the material. And then I'm just going to manually retract the material. It's bending up a little bit on the edge. I'm not sure if you can see that. So when that's happening, I like to manually retract the material rather than having the machine do it really quickly. And that allows me to support the front edge to be able to not waste this and prepare for my test cut up in the front corner. At that point, I'm going to complete a test cut. Make sure my downforce is set. I have it set on 26 because I'm still using that same dull blade. And give me a second, I hit the wrong button here. So once you set the point of origin, once you put the blade where you want it, you have to set the point of origin if that's where you want the test cut to happen. I forgot to hit that button, and that's why it retracted the material back. So if you forget to set your point of origin, sometimes the material will spit all the way out at your feet before it starts cutting. So anytime, once you set it up, make sure you set the point of origin on your particular cutter so it's ready to go. At that point, I'm going to tell it now to do the test cut, and it will cut it right up in that front corner, and it will advance the material through to me so I can use my little weeding tool. I know some people weed with picks and tweezers. I like the Stahls Easy Weeding Tool to be able to weed that away and make sure that I'm getting a nice little square with the triangle out, and the triangle comes out cleanly and doesn't score the back of the material too deeply. So I'm not going to wear on that blade. So this is good to go. I'm going to make sure I move my blade just over to the side of that. And then I'm going to go back to vector cut. And I'm going to go down and say, send this job to my vinyl cutter. So the cutter cuts completely unattended. And again, I'm going to highlight why I like the Graph Tech here in a moment for you and show you some slides with that. But one of the main reasons I like the Graph Tech is because of the longer length tracking. So if I have, 50 of these vests to do, I can gang that design up across my material. It's 24-inch wide material in this case, so there's a lot of real estate that I can use and fit 2 or 3 designs across and send the full length of that job all at once and be able to walk away. Since you're watching it cut with me, I'll glance in to see if there's any questions. Does the high-vis material dull cutter blades like the 3M material does? Yeah, so anytime you're cutting reflective material, it dulls the blade quicker. It actually has glass beads in the material. That's how you get the retro reflectivity. And so reflective materials are going to dull blades a lot quicker than your standard heat transfer vinyl. Now this design's done cutting already. It's cutting the weed border around the edge to give me somewhere to start from. Reflective material is a little bit more expensive. So you want to make sure that you are maximizing it and saving every potential scrap. Step over to this side, and I'm going to slide my razor blade down across the channel to trim out the material. At that point, I'll bring the finished cut piece and let you take a look at what's been cut here. So you can see the designs cut. Cut line visibility on this product is really good. So it's one of my favorite materials to be able to cut and weed. It's a pretty premium product. And so let's go ahead and slide my computer just back slightly and get you a view of the weeding experience. So grab the corner. I always like to go with the corner and start to peel away the excess. Make sure I'm grabbing the right component here. So stencil fonts are awesome. Makes for easy weeding. So there's no cavities on that towing company text that I did that I'm going to have to go back and clean. So I'll just kind of take my time there, peeling it out, making sure I'm not breaking the material. And then that's done. All I have to do is go in and individually remove these letters. Again, I like to kind of trail the shape of the letter when I'm doing this. I build all the pieces up on the weeding tool, kind of let them go up the shaft of the tool as I'm weeding, and just have a technique, once you get used to it, to be able to do everything without having to remove the scraps from your tool. If you're getting into really fine details, then I'll remove the scraps from the tool and come back and clean this little piece that broke. Get the outer edge started, and then follow that around, rotating my material to get all the excess weeded away. So all in all, about a minute to weed that graphic. Let's get you a better view here. And I have a completed design that is ready to heat apply. So again, back over to the heat press, and this is really where some of that cool technique will come into place. I'm going to show you a couple different tips and tricks when you're heat applying this. So this is our item. One is we have a zipper and a V-neck structure in the front. That's why I don't think a left chest graphic would have done well here. There's not a whole lot of real estate there, so I think the back placement is best for that. But of course, when we have this V-neck and the zipper, it's very important that I either insert a pillow or spread this item and load it onto the heat press. So in this case, we're going to load it onto the 16 by 20 just so I can show you this. And when you load it on the 16 by 20, I still have these reflective stripes, both the vertical and the horizontal one, that are still up on the surface. So if I just lay my design, cover it with a cover sheet, and press it like this, you are going to notice that these reflective stripes will look different in the areas that they've been pressed versus the areas that they haven't been. So one of the most practical techniques that I've seen done is just to take a sweater or some scrap fabric and just simply cover up the stripes. Can't be super thick, but a sweater thickness is fine. Strip your sweater into strips or create a box with a window that's out and just cover up the stripes that are up on your heat press so they're not going to receive all that heat. We carry something called a flexible application pad that you can cover these with, but it's probably less expensive just to take some fabric, lay it over the stripes, then lay your design in center and heat apply. However, since I am operating with a Stahls press and I have the right tool for the job, the other option is you raise the surface that you want to print so the stripes fall over the edge. You can do that in three ways. You can have a pillow that's the right size. You can have something called a print perfect pad, which is just like almost a mouse pad material that's the right size. I prefer the platen. If you're doing a lot of vests, it's going to be your most efficient way to be able to do a quantity in a short amount of time. So in this case, it's 11 by 15. I'm just going to load that vest back on. And then as you'll see, all of my striping hangs off of the edge and creates a perfectly flat printing surface with everything hanging off the edge. So I don't need to worry about it. So 11 by 15 is perfect for this. Now I preheat and also use that time to adjust my pressure. This item was from Sanmar as well. Again, I think it was called, what was it called? Cornerstone is the particular brand. It's certified 3M material on it. Once I preheat, I'm going to grab my transfer, position that in place. I always like to place just a little lower on these because they're worn by both men and women. And so just in case there is a ponytail or anything or hair hanging down, the logo being lower is also a nice benefit. Cover it with a cover sheet and then heat apply it for the recommended time, temperature, and pressure, making sure to follow the recipe. So let me scroll down and take a look at my comments. I am using the Hotronix Auto Open Clam. This is the press I bought in 2016. One of my favorite presses for, the space that it takes up is not very much. Very easy to use. It's an auto open, so it allows me to multitask while I'm using the machine. Now again, high-vis reflective is a cold peel. I'm doing this, I believe this is 100% polyester, so I always like to cheat and start to peel a little warm. On polyester, it tends to peel better warm, and so it's still a little bit warm. I'm just removing it. And I have a completed result. So you can see this would actually reflect as well when somebody's wearing it at nighttime. Add some nice contrast so it's still visible in bright light like we're seeing here. This is the high-vis color reflective, and I didn't damage the striping, the actual certified 3M reflective at all. So a great opportunity, especially right now, to source something like this, show that you can do it, whether it's for your testing stations that are popping up in different neighborhoods for protective gear and visibility, whether it's for security at an event or people working a parking lot at an event, maybe people working grocery stores, towing companies, trucking companies. There's a ton of opportunities for high-vis apparel out there. So it's just a matter of having the right tools for the job, being able to create designs, having the right materials, and applying it and selling it. So hopefully that gives you some concepts to do that. Now, before we conclude today, I told you I would show you a little bit about what I love about this vinyl cutter. And so let me pull up our special deal that we have going. This is what we have going on the GraphTech CE6000. So we are running our show specials in absent of a show, because all of our shows have been postponed or canceled for now. So we decided we are going to do these show specials for you. Our team will share a link where you can download the full show specials, including the heat press, but you can kind of see what's here. Now, the difference between a GraphTech like you see here and a US cutter, or not necessarily a US cutter, but a inexpensive cutter, I should say, with a stepper motor, is that you're getting a servo motor here. So you're getting a lot more quiet of a cutter, a lot more powerful of a cutter, and it's holding the material flat, so it's not puckering when it's running through the cutter. And so that's going to allow you to have more accurate cuts. So the package that we put together here, $1,813 for this CE6000, includes 70 yards of material, which is great. So those are all heat transfer materials, as you see there over at the right. You can download the show special brochure that we're sharing in our different channels. Let me show you a little bit on why I like this cutter. Not the greatest slides in the world, but enough to say my point. So longer length tracking. All right, so I'm already seeing comments about price and how expensive it is. So we need to be talking about ROI and not how much it costs. So the garments that I showed you up at the front of the episode and the garments I just pressed, we're going to make an average. If we can sell it and we can establish the value, we're going to make an average of about $10 in profit per piece. And so we're talking about selling 180 shirts to be able to pay off a cutter. I've sold, even part-time with 2 or 3 customers, have sold well over 180 shirts every year with my vinyl cutter. So you can get ROI right away on the right system if you can sell and identify the customers. That's the key right there, is being able to sell and identify the customers. So here we go. So this is longer length tracking. That's one of the big deals with this vinyl cutter, is that it can track straighter longer than a lot of other cutters on the market. I mentioned that earlier. Next is less waste. So this is an important point. This red zone is what is normally where the pinch rollers go over the vinyl cutter when you're feeding the material through. So this is waste and lost material. With the GraphTech, you can actually program it to be able to cut in front of the pinch rollers. And so that's one of the big benefits. So sometimes that's the difference, being able to fit 2 designs up versus just 1 design up. It really reduces your material. I always say it's about a penny a square inch. So if I take a 1/2 inch on both sides, that's 1 inch by 36 inches in a yard. I'm going to save about 36 cents on every yard I cut with a GraphTech versus another brand of vinyl cutter, by being able to reduce that waste. Next, and this is really big, is an overcut feature. So when you're cutting 90-degree angles on any text, if you're cutting extremely thick material or extremely thin and stretchy material, this overcut feature is going to come in handy, because that's going to basically overextend your cuts, as you're seeing in the image, at all of your 90-degree angles, and even on circles if you're doing things like rhinestone templating. So overcut is a function that you enable on the cutter, and it allows it to cut cleanly and more accurately. And then last but not least, and this is the tough one, is tangential emulation. So there are cutters out there called tangential cutters. They are super duper expensive. And so what the GraphTech team has done is they've created a feature called tangential emulation. What that means is that the blade, when this is enabled, literally picks up at every corner and then drops back down to start moving the other direction. So typically tangential cutters will actually pick up the blade and turn it to start moving the other direction, so you get really clean cuts on thicker materials or stretchy materials. What tangential emulation does is, this is a drag knife technology. So it's literally dragging the knife and then making the corner. When it's enabled, this gives the cutter the ability to actually lift up the blade, so the drag knife blade reorientates itself to start beginning the other directions rather than having a skip. So fine little technical things, but the point I want to say is it cuts more accurate than any other cutter on the market. It's quieter and more powerful, and it also will save you waste in the process. And so that's why I invested in the GraphTech CE6000. So what I'll do, I saw a question, and we're coming up on our time here, on how do you adjust the cutter to cut in front of the pinch rollers. I'll go back and I will go through that step by step to show you what it is. So hopefully everybody else remained with sound. I saw some people lost sound when I switched to my screen there, but you still should be picking up my sound as I'm talking over that screen, hopefully. So again, this is our Making It Together live educational session. We jam-packed it with projects today, taught you a little bit about foil, a little bit about decorating with reflective materials for the high-vis market and the opportunities that are out there. I want to thank all 200 of you who watched live today. We had a great audience and would encourage you to fill out our survey. I'm going to share that link one more time. Fill out that survey. That will enter you into our giveaway, which we'll do Thursdays from now on. And I'll be broadcasting to you live again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Thanks so much and have a great day.